I welcome you all in today's session based on flood and drought. In the previous lecture, we have covered water as one of the natural resources. In that, we covered that what is a water resource, what are the different forms of water, what are the sources of water, what are the benefits of a water resource, what are the strategies or methods an individual can adopt in conserving water as a natural resource. So we discussed that water is one of an indispensable resource, and an important issue of the water resource is flood. So in today's session, we will be covering flood and drought under environmental studies block 2. From this session, you'll be able to understand the concept of flood and drought. You'll be able to understand types of flood. You'll be able to know that what will be an effect, benefit of flood. Similarly, you'll be able to understand different types of drought, impact of drought. We'll also cover and you'll be able to understand that how we can conserve flood. You'll be able to describe how environmental degradation has led to the condition of flood and drought. In this session, we'll cover a basic introduction of flood, types of flood, what are the reasons behind the flood, impact of flood, benefits of flood, methods of controlling flood, how can we prepare ourselves for the flood, what we can do after flood or what we should do, a public awareness about the flood. Then in the later half, we'll cover drought, causes, its effect, types, and overall impact. So let us start with one of an important issue, that is flood. When we talk about flood, flood means an overflow of a large amount of water beyond the normal limit, especially over what is normally dry land. So when at a particular area, more than a normal water overflow, we call that area to be a flood. It may occur due to the overflow of water from any water body. That water body can be a river, a lake, or an ocean. So when that water body, from that water body, the water overflows, we call it to be a flood. It has a serious environmental hazard, and that we have seen from the several centuries. Because we are cutting down the trees, we are damaging the crops, it may lead to the flood. And flood again leads to the damaged crop. It destroys our livelihood, our home, our habitat. At the time of flood, the river changes its direction and causes several disasters to the valuable soil, and therefore it affects the fertility of the soil. As the forest is degraded, rainwater now no longer percolates slowly into the subsoil, but it runs down the mountainside bearing large amount of the topsoil. So it also leads to the movement of the topsoil. There are different types of flood: river flood, flash flood, rain-fed flood, tidal flood, urban flood. We'll be understanding a few of them, which are most common. But before that, you should also understand that there are two broad categories of flood. One is inundation flood, and another is flash flood. Inundation flood are the floods which are slow in nature. It's developed over hours or days. While flash floods, they occur without any warning in places where there are no streams, generally within 6 hours of a rain event or after death. So, with these two types of flood, the major kind of flooding are, first of all, river flood. Whenever from a river, when a river overflows or a stream overflows its bank, we call it to be a river flood. A flood occurs when a river or a stream overflows its bank, and it occurs due to seasonal flood. Seasonal floods are the norm in many rivers. For example, when spring rain or snow melt, it increases the flow of the river. When we are talking about river flooding, it occurs naturally. So it is a natural event for any river or a stream when the catchment receives more water than the usual. And the reason behind receiving the water more than the usual can be a rain or melting of snow. Development on the floodplain and the alteration of the flood plain terrain can cause flooding or it can make worse. River flooding can be a slow or it can be fast depending upon the amount of water received. Sheet flooding runoff. Runoff from the higher ground occurs when water from the mountain towards the sea can collect in lower flattened area, creating sheet flooding runoff. So when water from the upstreams, it come down and collected in any flattened area, we call it to be a sheet flooding runoff. Coastal flooding. It is inundation caused by seawater above the normal tides. Causes can include unprolonged or the strong onshore flow of wind, storm surges, and astronomical tides or tsunamis generated by the earthquake. Another category is outburst flooding. It takes place when there is due to unexpected dam or glacial breakage. Sometimes dams are created but they are not maintained at a regular interval of time. Due to non-maintenance or any other issue, when such dam break, unexpectedly the water bursts out and it leads to outburst flooding. Similarly with the glacier, when glaciers melt, glacier will not inform anyone that now I am going to melt. So when glaciers melt due to any particular reason, maybe change in temperature, so at that time the outburst of water takes place. Urban flooding. Urban flooding can be caused by impermeable ground cover, such as concrete and asphalt, that increases the runoff 2 to 6 times more than the natural terrain. Urban streets can become swiftly moving rivers, while basements and viaducts can collect the water. This is the picture of a rain-fed flood. As during monsoon period, there are some areas are inundated by heavy rainfall. Rain-fed flood are then further connected with the river flood because they both are interconnected. That rain during the monsoon season will move or can occur over the rivers also. So it is connected with the river water. Flash flood, we discussed earlier. It is when a flood or a flow of water from the higher region occurs and at a lower region it is collected. The region of movement of a rapid flood can be a heavy rain, a thunderstorm, hurricane, storm, melting of water from the ice, or snow over the ice sheets. What are the reasons behind flood? The first and foremost reason is the human being. But overall, we can classify into physical and human factors. When we talk about the physical cause of the flood, the geographical area is one of an important factor affecting the flood. So, the snow melt from the Himalayas can take place in the late spring and the summers. 70% of the total areas is less than 1 meter above the sea level. 10% of the land area is made up of lakes and rivers. Bangladesh experiences heavy monsoon rainfall, especially over the highlands. Typical storms bring heavy rains and coastal flooding. So geographical feature is one of an important factor for the cause of the flood. Geographical features, the change of seasons. In spring season, we see more of the rivers, more of the rainfall. And melting, apart from it, the change in the temperature of the earth, again human beings are responsible for it, but change in the temperature of the earth leads to melting of ice or snow from the Himalayas. That melted ice turns into water and it moves down into any water body and it turns into flood. Human beings are also responsible for causing the flood because we are now getting selfish due to our own nature, due to our own selfish attitude, due to our own utilization, our own fulfillment of needs. What we are doing, we are cutting down the trees. Trees help in controlling forest, helps in controlling the movement of soil. So when trees will not be occur, definitely a huge loss we will face. So deforestation is in Nepal and the Himalayas increases the runoff and add to the deposition and flooding downstream. Another important factor is urbanization. Shifting of people from the rural areas to the urban areas require more land to get themselves settled, and for that they are cutting down the forest, and it had increased the magnitude and frequency of floods. With an increase in population, global warming is occurring. The temperature of the earth is increasing day by day. And it is responsible for the increase of sea level as the Himalayas or ice will melt and the level of sea will rise. And if level of sea will rise, it will move to the residential areas. Building of dams in India has increased the problem of sedimentation. Of course, the problem of sedimentation has increased. The dams are not maintained at regular interval. Poorly maintained embankment or the leaks and collapse in time of high discharge. This is one of the biggest problems. And overall, the increase in population, because the above points are also because of increase in population. Because due to increase in population, needs are increasing. And due to an increase in needs, we are cutting down the trees. Due to increase in needs, we are exploiting our natural resources. And due to it, we are increasing the temperature of the earth's surface. There is a huge impact of flood. When we talk about the impact, first of all, there will be loss of life. Obviously, loss of habitat, there will be injury. People suffer a lot at the time of flood. A more damage is seen. The debris and sediments, they come to the home. Building, railroads, bridges, roads, and it blocks everything and causes damage. The vegetation of the soil is also lost, or the fertility level is impacted due to the erosion and deposition of sediment in the rural and urban landscape. Other impacts can be Water can get polluted, not can get, it is polluted due to the flood. Because the flood water contains all the contamination, and that contaminated water will definitely lead to water pollution. More diseases are seen at the time of flood. The flood has an impact that we see malaria, infection, waterborne diseases are likely to seen due to flood. In the areas which are prone to the flood, poverty is seen. Cases of hunger are seen because there is no food over there. There is shortage of food, due to which people suffer from hunger. Fires by short circuits or between gas pipes, there are frequent problems which are seen by the flood. And above all, the displacement of people, because the people who loses their home, they are displaced now. They have to leave their land because of the flood and have to move somewhere else, which is one of the biggest problem for them. Impact of flood can be an economic impact also, which is a long-term impact, because it will affect the tourism. No tourist will come to a place where there is already environmental effect, where already there is a flood, there is a shortage of food. So there will be no tourism. That means there will be no revenue. It also leads to rebuilding cost, because resettling to a particular place again, that is also that leads to the cost. Increasing of food price, because food is short, so people will charge money more than required. And urban flooding can lead to chronically wet houses, which are linked to an increased respiratory problem. Again, that I was telling, that various diseases, you can suffer from several diseases like asthma, bronchitis, and overall psychological impact, a feeling of stress because of loss of either habitat, loss of materialistic things, or shortage of food. It will create pressure and stress. That is psychological impact. Overall, if we talk about the overall effect of flood, so depending upon the size and severity, floods can roll the boulders and vehicles, tear out the trees, destroy buildings, bring down the power lines, cover the roads, fill the basements. See how much flood is affecting us. When roads will be covered, we will not be able to know where is ditch. We can fall in any pit while moving, and we cannot even move. Flood water may rise to several stories, and it may reach to 3 to 6 meters or 10 to 20 feet. And there's debris, they get collected around the building. So debris in the flood water accumulate in the tight passage, and it leads to the blockage and jam. Overall, if we talk about, it can lead to death also, injury, damage to the property, ground instability. This G will come with the round, so it will be ground instability. There will be shortage of food, contamination of drinking water, mud, sand, gravel can deposit, loss of shelter and livelihood, disrupts the lifeline infrastructure, and destroy the communities. It also have an impact which is not mentioned over here on ecosystem. Our agricultural land will be impacted if that water moves to an agricultural land. So the ecosystem over there will be disturbed and ecological imbalance will be seen. Flood hazards. Heavy rainfall exacerbates the problem with runoff, absorption, flood control measures. Ravine flooding can inundate downstream areas. In rocky and heavily paved areas, there is lack of absorption and can cause flash flooding. Apart from these several effect or impact, there are certain benefits of floods which we neither think of, as there are more ill effect rather than benefits. But still, some benefits include recharging the groundwater. Soil becomes fertile due to the mixing of the nutrients in the soil. Flood water provide much needed water resource in the areas where there is less of water, like in the arid region, in the semi-arid region, where precipitation can be unevenly distributed throughout the year. So at that particular area, if flood reaches, then it is valuable for them because they are in short of water. But more than required will cause hazard to that particular land also. Fresh water particularly play an important role in maintaining an ecosystem in the river and are a key factor in maintaining the food plain biodiversity. Biodiversity is the variety of plants and animals at a particular area, particular place, and due to flood, biodiversity will be affected. It spread nutrients to the lakes and rivers, which can lead to increased biomass and improved fisheries. For some fisheries, fish species, an inundated food plain may form a highly suitable location for spawning. Fish such as the weatherfish make use of floods in order to reach a new habitat. So this is the benefit for them. Bird population may also profit from the boost in the food production caused by the flooding. So there are benefits, but more than the benefits, there are ill effects of the flood. So overall, we can understand that the major contribution is the rainfall, and that rainfall, again, human beings are responsible. We can control floods by structural method, by non-structural method, and integration method. So structural method is the protection of that vulnerable area where flood is there up to a certain level of flooding, and it is preferred by the local peoples. Non-structural method, when there is reduction of loss or damage, it is preferred by the social scientists and the people who are working for the conservation of the environment. Integration is the mixing of both the structural as well as non-structural methods. So we will talk one by one. First of all, we will talk about structural method. So it is the physical process of control of flood. It prevents the inundation, which protects the vulnerable area to a certain level, like creating of dams and reservoirs, because it will hamper the flow of excess runoff. It will not allow to run off the water, creating dams and reservoirs. Detention basin, retention ponds to lower the level of the flood moving to the downstream, though it is not feasible at all. Embankment, a proper embankment of flood wall will block the movement of water from the rivers to the floodplain, but it is to be maintained frequently. Improvement of conveyance capacity, flood bypass and flood diversion, which is not at all feasible and not an appropriate method because we cannot divert the flood. Watershed management and afforestation, very less focus has been done in this aspect. When we talk about structural mitigation measures, storage reservoirs, which we call them dam, they are the most effective method for the flood disaster mitigation measures. The modern reservoirs are mostly multi-purpose. They can store excess water and can be utilized for different purposes. As well as we can release the water as and when required. So they are generally formed at the upstream of the rivers. Non-structural option like forecasting, which is already done, which is done regularly, and warning the people, but it is a very bad practice warning the people. Just warning them and leaving them will not help them. Flood fighting, flood proofing, a very old practice. Evacuation, asking the people to leave a particular place, but for them displacement is not easy. You require certain place where they can get themselves settled. Insurance of flood, floodplain, zoning, and changing in the crop pattern. How can we prepare ourselves for the flood? We can know the flood risk area in advance. From the authorities, we can ask that is our area a flood zone area? How frequently in the past flood has come? So knowing about an area of where you are living, that whether it is a flood risk or not. And preparing a proper plan that at the time of flood or before the flood, how can we evacuate a particular place? Having an option of flood insurance. Keeping the documents or important things. This we will study in detail in any place where it is waterproof. Receiving information time to time and getting yourself updated and check that what is the information or if there is any emergency message. Protecting the property is also very necessary. And in the property, if there is any electrical equipments, we can keep them at a particular height so that they may not get destroyed. Movement of furniture. If there is a 2-story building, we can move furniture from the ground floor to the first floor or to the second floor so that it may not get damaged. And nowadays, waterproof basement floors and walls are getting constructed. If it is possible, we can evacuate, but if it is possible, only then. We should not walk, swim during the flood water. It might cut in certain animals. We should have our family together at the time of flood. Pay attention to the barricades. Keep away from the waterways. Stay away from the bridges and the more fast moving water. After flood also we can take certain measures. It is not advisory to move to a place where flood has come. So staying away from the area because it will take some time to get that place settled. Reserve the telephone for the emergencies. We should not consume all the battery of our phone because we do not know when will the electricity come. Avoid driving. Drive only when if it is very urgent. Wait for the authorities to issue any message and be aware of different animals because they can come to our home. They can enter our home. They can come through the flood water and when water will go, the animals can remain in our home. It is very much necessary that we should aware the people and educate them that how can we reduce the disaster. We cannot control, we cannot avoid, but we can just take mitigation measures, a step so that we can be aware of what should be done. So know your area's flood risk, which I was talking that we should know that whether our area in which we are living is a flood zone area or not. Know the local terrain, water source, catchment area and weather pattern, so that we can better understand the risk. If floodplains have been mapped, find out whether you are located on a floodplain and learn about the measures required to elevate your property and building relative to the predictable food levels. Speak with the authorities, local authorities and the neighbors to find out an area which is prone to flooding and how flood risk is being addressed. We should store our valuable and dangerous material above the likely water levels. Keep important papers, equipments, documents, feedstock, every important document, every important or valuable things at the above potential flood level where water may not reach. And if possible, we can use waterproof containers, keeping hazardous chemicals above the anticipated flood level. If you have certain chemicals which you think they are hazardous and they are there in your house, you can keep them at a particular height. We should also not forget at the time of disaster about our animals. So what we should do? We should consider the precautionary evacuation for their livestock and pets. If possible, if you are moving to a second floor or to at a particular height, take that pet also. Know your area's expected flood evacuation routes, that how frequently flood water will go away. Identify the safe evacuation routes using any form of transportation available to you, as well as routes that can be used on foot. So we should be aware of all these things. We should select a safe site for our building. Avoid building or living within 200 meters, that is 650 feet of a high tide coastal line. Avoid building or living on the river banks because you never know when flood can come. Unless you elevate or reinforce your home, but still it is advisable not to build your home an area around the river bank. Then construct the barriers to prevent the flood water from entering into our buildings. Construct leaves or the flood walls in accordance with the local building regulation. We need to follow the build regulations while building, but also prepare it in a manner or build in a manner so that flood water may not enter into the building. Identify the best method to prevent the water entering into the home, depending on the construction type and the location. Practice the evacuation routes. Make sure that the household members, they are aware that from where to evacuate when floods come. What are the routes to take? Where to meet if they will leave? Because it is not practically possible that all can move. If possible, they should do, but at least they should be aware of that when, where, and when they will meet. Keep supplies to protect your home. If you live in an area which is prone to a flooding, keeping the supply like plywoods, like plastic sheeting, like nails, hammer, sand, so that our home can be protected. When you hear a flood warning, store extra water, and this is the thing which people generally do not do. We should fill as much water as we can in certain plastic bottles or containers. Because might be at the time of flooding, there will be an electricity loss. You will not receive clean water. So we should fill bathtubs. We should fill each and every plastic bottle or the containers with the water, because you will be requiring water for sanitation purpose also. So an area goes under and remains underwater for some times, it is inundation. But when inundation causes damage to the property and crops, it disrupts the communication and brings harmful effects to the human being. And not apart to the human being, apart from it to the plants and animals also. We call it to be a flood. Inundation supports the fish navigation, soil fertility, ecosystem, groundwater recharge, etc. Flood management measures are aimed at reduction of damage and harmful effects and creation of an environmental and enhanced economic activity. So total flood control is neither possible nor it is desirable. What we can do, we can be aware of it. We can take certain mitigation measures so that we can overcome it. We cannot control, it is not practically possible that we can control the flood. But what are the reasons behind it? We should know, and we should stop those reasons. And what mitigation measures we can do, that we should be aware. Another important aspect is the drought. In most of the arid region of the world, the rains are unpredictable. This leads to a period when there is a serious scarcity of water to drink, use in the farm, or provide for the urban and industrial use. One of the factors that worsen the effect of drought is deforestation. Again, deforestation was responsible for flood also. Deforestation is responsible for drought also. And why deforestation is done? Because human beings are responsible for it. So drought is one of the major problems in our country due to unpredictable climatic conditions or due to the failure of one and the more monsoon. Look at the picture. What can you observe? Can't you see that this area is arid? There is no water. See the cracks in the land. The land is barren and covered in thin dust. Cracks appear in the earth. This is called as drought. The drought brings an image of dry, parched land, no rainfall, crop failure, when there is starvation because there will be no food production. So definitely the people will starve, and bad living condition. This is the image when we talk about drought. When someone asks what is a drought, our first and foremost thing that will come in our mind is no rainfall, no food. People are dying because of food. In simple terms, drought is a condition of acute scarcity of water, food and fodder, and employment due to scanty rainfall. Because of less rainfall, when there is, these are the conditions. Are we all vulnerable to the drought? It is one of an important, most widespread disaster that India faces, affecting more than 70% of the cultivable land. Often people do not react to the drought like they do to the sudden disasters, such as earthquakes, cyclones, and flood. Since drought conditions develop over the period of time and without immediately perceptible changes to the environment, so we can say that drought is called a slow onset disaster. And how does it start? From the very first day? No. A drought starts when a total rainfall is below the average, and that is average for several months. First of all, there is a very dry soil. Then trees have a sign of dying. They start dying. And then weather start getting hotter and hotter. This shows that a condition of drought has started. What are the reasons of drought? First of all, less rainfall, cutting down of trees, soil erosion, and global warming. In the first picture, it is showing that around our Earth there is an ozone layer which protects us from the harmful ultraviolet radiations coming to the Earth. The second picture is showing that there is a hole now. And due to this hole, we are now receiving the harmful radiation and to the Earth, due to which there is an increase in temperature and there is change in climatic condition, which is responsible for causing the drought. So, in detail, if we talk about less rainfall, higher air pressure. When there is high air pressure, air falls instead of rising. With air pressing down in a high pressure zone, no current of water vapors are carried upward. As a result, no condensation occurs and a little rain falls to the earth. And when rain will not be there, definitely this will be a reason for the drought. Low air pressure. Low pressure systems see more cloudy, stormy weather. Usually, however, we experience both high and low pressure systems. Then there is a role of monsoon. Summer winds known as monsoon, they carry water vapors north from an Indian Ocean island, providing the desperately needed rain. Sometimes, however, instead of blowing from north to the south, they blow east to the west. Then what that happens? The vapors does not leave the Indian Ocean and many people suffers, resulting into the drought. So monsoon play a very important role in it. Then role of water vapors. Drought occurs because water vapor is not brought by the air current to the right areas at the right time. The water that evaporates from the ocean is brought inland by the wind to the regions where it is needed. However, sometimes these winds are not strong enough. Then the moisture. In some states, the moisture is carried up from the ocean by blowing winds. This moisture is then pushed by the other winds until it reaches the location. However, if the winds do not blow at the right time in the right direction or with enough force, the moisture falls in the other areas and they suffer from drought. Mountain region winds. Mountain can prevent wind from blowing the moisture to the needed region. As air is moving past a mountain range, it is forced to rise in order to pass over the peaks. However, as the air rises, it becomes colder and the vapor condenses into the rain or snow. When the air mass finally makes it over the mountain, it has lost much of the vapors. This is another reason why many deserts are found on the side of the mountain facing away from the ocean, and this is known as rain shadow effect, one of an important effect. Rainfall pressure. Generally, rainfall is related to the amount of the water vapors in the atmosphere, combined with the upward forcing of the air mass containing that water. If either of these reduce, it results into the drought. Then global warming, we have seen that global warming, human beings are responsible for an increase in the global warming. And when a temperature increases, definitely the soil will dry. So human activity can directly trigger the factors such as overfarming, excessive irrigation, more than required, deforestation, erosion, and it has an adverse effect on the ability of the land to capture and hold the water. Decline in the groundwater is another important reason for the drought. India has a sharp decline in the groundwater which is getting declined day by day, leading to a fall in the supply, saline water encroachment, and the drying of the springs and shallow aquifers. Around 50% of the total irrigated land in the country is now dependent on the groundwater, and 60% of the irrigated food production depends on the irrigation from the groundwater wells. Depletion of forest. The rapid depletion of forest is also responsible for the or a reason for the less water and less rainfall and the drought. India, if we talk about the data, India has the forest cover of 76 million hectares. That means 23% of the area is covered with the forest, but now it is getting less. And rainwater harvesting. Combined with these and the host of other factors, poor irrigation system, pressure from increasing industrial use of water, little has been done over the years to drought-proof the country when community-based rainwater harvesting could easily accomplish the feat. So this is one of a method which has come to overcome the factor of drought. There are three types of drought that are seen: meteorological drought, hydrological drought, and agricultural drought. We will discuss them one by one. Meteorological drought is generally defined by comparing the rainfall in a particular place and at a particular time. This happens when the actual rainfall in an area is significantly less than the climatological mean of that area. Meteorological drought leads to the soil moisture, and this always have an effect on the crop production. So this drought condition is due to the natural factor, like when the level of precipitation gets lower, when there is lack of moisture in the atmosphere, there is dryness for a longer period of time, more increase in temperature. So this type of drought occurs. Meteorological drought, if persists for a longer period of time, can lead to the serious water crisis and related problems. And it can cover from a very shorter period to a longer period of time. When we talk about hydrological drought, it is associated with the effect of low rainfall on the water level in the reservoirs, rivers and lakes. This type of drought are noticed sometimes after a meteorological drought. And it brings down a change in an ecosystem and affect the ecosystem. It occurs where in the water level of all the surface water bodies, there is a condition of drought, including the dams, lakes, reservoirs. So when in all the water bodies there is less than the standardized level of water, or when the level of water falls down, we call it hydrological drought. Even when demand or usage of water is more than the supply or the availability of water, it reserves, hydrological drought has occurred. Agricultural drought. This drought condition impacts the country economy. Farmers are badly affected with the drought when the soil moisture decreases and water demand for the crop production surpasses the water supply. When there is less supply of water for the crop production, it requires more water supply and it impacts the growth of the crop. Decline in the crop growth and production ultimately hampers the food supply and ultimately hampers the economy. It happens when the soil moisture reduces due to the hot and dry weather, and with the less rainfall leading to the lack of. See, all these type of things, all the things are related with each other. Soil is dry due to increase in temperature. Why there is increase in temperature? Due to human beings, due to excessive use of automobiles, due to cutting down of trees. So these all the things are interrelated with each other. Agricultural drought occurs when there isn't enough water for a crop to grow at a particular time. This type of drought does not depend upon the amount of rainfall, where the water is carelessly used for the irrigation. What will be the effect of drought? We have understood the types of drought. We have understood what drought is. Now, economic impact, environmental impact, and social impact. First of all, we will see economic impact. Farmers will lose money if drought will come, because more money is needed for irrigation, for feeding the animals, for giving water to the animals. And what all are the business which are dependent on farming, they will be affected. Business that sells the boats and fishing equipments. Power companies that normally rely on hydroelectric power, so that they will be affected. Power companies, customers would have to pay more. Now customer has to pay more. Water companies have to spend money on new and additional water supplies. And now people have to pay more amount for food and water, and it will bring to inflation. Environmental effect, loss or destruction of fish or any habitat, wildlife habitat, lack of food and drinking water for the animals, death of the wild animals, ecological imbalance, increase of disease. Now the wildlife will move from one place to another place. More stress will be there on the endangered species. Less water level on the reservoirs. More fires will be seen in the forest. Wind and water erosion and quality of the soil will be hampered. Social impact. People will have anxiety because of no money, no food production. So anxiety or depression. Health issues, diseases, they suffer from hunger, they suffer from poverty. So health related issues related to the dust. Malnutrition, people will suffer from lack of nutrition. People may die also. In fact, plants and animals can also die. Income, less income. It will have an impact on income. People have to move from the farms into the cities because agricultural land is now impacted. Now they'll move to cities, and if they'll move to cities, that means urbanization. Now the urban cities will be impacted. Overall climate will be affected. Deforestation will take place. So what we can do? We should stop cutting the trees. We should go for xeriscaping. We discussed in the last lecture. We should reduce the pollution and we should save water at an individual level as much as we can. And how can we save water? We discussed in the previous lecture, by turning off the water while we are brushing the teeth, recycling the water, awareing the people so that they can be aware what will be an effect if there will be no water, educating them, using proper irrigation techniques. Lawns and gardens, if they require a huge amount of water, so they should be maintained accordingly. So at an individual level, we can do lots of efforts to save water.